Millions of sports fans around the world betting on the biggest sporting event on the planet, the World Cup. And yet you see shares of DraftKings ticking up after falling as much as 9+% this morning on reports of customers being hacked and their accounts drained. Josh Schafer here with the latest on this story. Josh, what is DraftKings saying at this hour?
Yeah, Dave. So it's an interesting story to follow throughout the day because we saw shares really dive earlier this morning, as you mentioned, almost 11%. And that was as the Action Network was reporting what DraftKings had overnight, a little bit of a problem with customer funds. So here's what we learned from DraftKings earlier this afternoon. DraftKings, Paul Lieberman, the co-founder and president of Global Technology and Product, telling us in part, we currently believe the login information of these customers was compromised on other websites and then used to access their DraftKings account where they used the same login information. We have seen no evidence that DraftKings systems were breached to obtain this information. So sort of saying they think that someone took passwords that were being used on DraftKings and were also being used somewhere else and used that to get into these customer accounts. Now, the key here, Dave, and why the stock came back up was DraftKings believed this only impacted less than $300,000 of customer funds. To give you perspective of how much of customer funds that is for DraftKings, DraftKings does maybe over $100 million in handle in a given week in New York. So $300,000 is not a large amount of money for how much money these customers have on the platform. A final note from DraftKings is that they do intend to make every customer whole. Several customers we've talked to haven't gotten their money back quite yet, and they haven't heard from DraftKings. So still waiting to hear what's going to happen to that roughly $300,000 that was impacted from different customer funds.
Yeah, 300 grand's not a ton, but when you're talking about a $6.5 billion market cap company, almost 5% is pretty significant. Josh Schafer, great stuff. Thank you, sir.